Hello everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. That question is not for me to answer. Hi y'all, here is a story from my days working at a local airport. You see, when you arrive at the check-in desk at an airport, most people seem to assume that the people working there are actually airline employees. But more often than not, they are working for a handling agency, which has in turn been contracted by airlines to handle check-in, baggage loading, and other practical tasks for the airline at that airport. Some airlines also run their own handling agency, and I worked for one of these when this story took place. It is also often difficult for those who are not frequent travelers to easily identify based on work uniform, as the white shirt and dark blue/black trousers and jacket is nearly universal for handling staff, as well as also being common for many airline staff. Take the uniform of an airline captain, remove the stripes, the hat, and any wings from the uniform, and you could be forgiven to think that the person also worked at the check-in area. Another thing worth noting is that staff is typically discouraged from answering questions specific to airlines that they do not work with, and to advise people on asking those questions of where to go to and who to ask in order to get proper answers. This was one such situation. The cast and companies for this story: Q, person wanting to ask questions. Me, airline A, the airline Q wants to ask a question about. Handling A, the handling agency/company responsible for airline A. Airline B, the airline I worked at. When this happened, I had only worked at the airport for a couple of months and was staffing the entrance of the queue system for airline B. My work uniform did have some subtle hints to which company I worked for, but you could be easily forgiven for not noticing a logo punched on my belt buckle, no color difference, only an indentation, and a lanyard sporting the color and logo of the airline. And along comes Q. "Excuse me, but I would like to ask a question about airline A." "Then you should head over to handling A," pointing towards three people standing in front of airline A's queue system, about 10 meters from us. They are the ones responsible for handling airline A and are therefore much better suited to answer questions about airline A. "But it's really quick, just a question about airline A." Which is exactly why you should ask handling A, as they are the ones who have the best knowledge about airline A. Again, pointing to the same three people. Q then argues that it's really just a quick question, and I repeat that he should ask handling A. After having done this dance 4 times, Q seems to lose it and goes off on a tirade of insults and profanities, telling me how stupid, ignorant, and incompetent I am, and finishes off with a "What are you doing here anyway, seeing as you clearly don't know anything?" I bring my left thumb under the lanyard, just below the shoulder, and lift the lanyard only slightly while stating in a very matter-of-factly manner, "I work for airline B." Q immediately goes silent, mouth slightly open. Then his face takes on a very bright hue of red. And I mean really bright red. It was almost like watching a cartoon character blushing. Then quickly and quietly, he turns and walks straight to the staff from handling A. It all happened very quickly, but the story has stuck with me and is a good source of entertainment to this day. And while I have since left the industry for other, better paid work, I still snicker at the thought of the bright red face. I have no doubt that he knew exactly how badly he messed up that day. If I had to do the song and dance 4 times, I would quickly lose my patience being professional or not. If you were in OP situation dealing with this customer who obviously wasn't getting the point, what would you do or what would you say to somewhat resolve the situation? Let me know what you would personally do in the comments below. Typical Karen. This definitely isn't the shortest story ever, but it's a good one, in my opinion at least. I just got done with a shift at a convenience store that I worked at to help pay for my tuition at Regent College in Vancouver. It's a spring day in mid-April of 2019, so there are a bunch of cherry blossoms that are really nice to look at. So I stopped by a local pizza parlor to get a pizza for me and my GF Jane to eat when I get back home. There's a long line as usual because this place is pretty well known for having good pizza. So I just decide to wait outside and sit on a bench because this restaurant is right across the road from a park. I sit there scrolling through my phone. I forget what I was doing for at least half an hour until my GF asks when I'm coming home because she wants to know if we would still have time to go visit some friends afterwards. I tell her over the phone that I'm getting pizza from insert pizza parlor name here, and she's ecstatic because it's that time of the month and she's been craving some pizza lately. So I walk into the pizza parlor and wait for another 15 to 20 minutes in line. When I get to the front and the woman behind the counter, who knows me as I'm a regular, and her and Jane are close friends, says that it'll take a while due to them being flooded with orders. I understood because I worked in a popular restaurant when I was like 17 and I know how crazy it can get at times, so I nod my head and I go back to the bench and wait again for another 20 or so minutes until I go back inside. The place has calmed down a bit now and there's only a few customers left. I go in, place my order, and I go back to the bench because the woman behind the counter, who will now be known as WBC, tells me it'll take another 15 minutes or so until my pizza's ready. I still haven't gotten back to my apartment yet, so I'm still in my work uniform from the convenience store. The place I work at is relatively chill with what you wear, you just always need to wear black pants or shorts. Conveniently, the pizza parlor also makes their employees wear black pants. It's just they need to wear a black polo shirt that has the company logo on the sleeve. Remember this for later. Another 5 or so minutes go by and this woman, who will now be known as Karen, comes up to me. She looks to be about 1.75 meters tall. She's wearing a jean jacket over a burgundy dress shirt with black yoga pants, and she has the typical dirty blonde shortcut that every Karen has. She stares me down for about 10 seconds before she makes a comically loud ahem. I look up and reply with, "Is there She cuts me off. "Yeah, I just wanted to say that insert establishment name here has done a bad job at serving me and my child," as she points to a stroller with an infant inside. Yes, an infant. I just look up, confused because I didn't understand what she meant. "And why are you sitting out here on your phone while you're supposed to be working?" she says in a snarky voice. I realize what she means and I reply with, "I'm sorry, I don't work at establishment name." And the Karen looks at me and just out of the blue asks, "Oh, you're one of those gay freaks, aren't you?" Now, I personally have nothing against homosexuality or anything of that sort. One of my closest friends is gay, but I'm personally heterosexual. "I'm sorry, what?" "Don't I'm sorry what me, mister. You've got that snarky accent that all the gays have." I'm not originally from Vancouver or even Canada. I'm from Maine, which is on the US Northeast coast, and I'll admit, my accent does sound a little funny compared to the ones that people have in British Columbia/Vancouver. Whatever, I just want to know what you're doing out here when you're supposed to be on the job right now. Speaking of which, you need to go in there right this instant to make me and my poor hungry child something to eat. To that, I reply with, 1. Infants aren't supposed to be eating pizza. 2. I'm not homosexual. And 3. I've already told you I do not work at establishment name. Quit your lying. I know that you work at establishment name because of your uniform. Now please go in there and make me and my son something to eat, please," she says, starting to calm down a bit. I simply get up and walk across the road and the Karen follows with her stroller and a look of satisfaction on her face. I go in and WBC says almost immediately, "You're just in time, the pizza literally just came out of the oven not even 20 seconds ago." I can see her coworker cutting up the pizza and boxing it. She hands it to WBC and says hi to me. WBC hands me my pizza and says, "That'll be $12. That's probably not what the price is, I forgot. I take out my wallet and take out the purple bill. That's the $10. And a toonie, a $2 Canadian coin. But as I'm handing WBC the money, Karen grabs it real quick and says out loud, "Why is he getting pizza? Isn't he supposed to be the one making it?" she says, dumbfounded. WBC replies with a polite, "No, he doesn't work here." "But the uniform? Why is he wearing the uniform then?" WBC replies with, "If he worked at establishment name, then he would be wearing the company logo on a black shirt like me and the other workers," as she points to the logo on her shirt. Karen, still not getting the idea, asks to see the manager. To that, WBC smirks, does a 360 spin and says, "Hi, I'm the manager of establishment name. Is there any issue I can help with?" The Karen's face turns a bright red before throwing my money on the ground and stomps off and unloads her baby into her car and speeds off. WBC smirks and says, "Trust me, this isn't my first time. I go to give her the money and she simply shakes her head and says, "This one's on us," while giving me some garlic knots and marinara sauce. As I'm walking out the door, she hands me a brownie in a little presentation box and says, "Here, for Jane," and I get into my car and drive back home. Once I'm home, I tell Jane about the whole ordeal. She laughs it off and we leave the apartment to go see some friends for the rest of the night. I'm gonna be honest, I'd probably put up with that for that amount of free food. I don't know if that's just me being fat, but it sounds pretty worth it. I don't work at Staples, lady. I work at a very popular and very large thrift store in Canada. Also, not a very long story, but I find this funny. Story. I had just got off work and was still in my work uniform. At the time, this consisted of any clothes I want, but it had to be all black. But my store won a sales contest in our district, so we got red shirts with the company logo on it. Since then, the all black rule was rolled out so we can wear whatever, but we had to wear a red apron. Anyways, I was in my red shirt with logo and black dress pants, and I had my company lanyard on as well. I also have my own small jewelry business on the side and I needed to do up new business cards. So I decided to go into Staples on my way home. I was at the computers they have to create your own cards, minding my own business when I hear, "Excuse me." Me, no clue she was talking to me, so I kept working on what I was doing. "Excuse me," taps on my shoulder. Me turns around to see the typical Karen looking lady, haircut and all. "How can I help you?" Shoot, customer mode was still on. "Yes, I need business cards done up and you have to help me." Yes, she talked like that. "I'm sorry, I don't work here, I'm just doing up my own cards. But I'm sure an employee will be here soon. You could probably get started on your own though, it's very straightforward." "No, you have to help me. You clearly work here, you're wearing the uniform." Shoot, they wear the same colors. My shirt has company name logo on it, so does my lanyard. Then why the heck would you come here dressed like that if you don't want to be bothered? And she walked away angry. What the freak, lady? I understand that from behind I look like an employee, but come on. Once I said it didn't work there, that should have been it. And I'm fairly certain I have served her in my store, considering I worked the jewelry counter and she was covered in it. It's always the people with the lanyard. The lanyard does you in. Although it sounded like the whole ensemble was probably the issue here. If you have to say the word lanyard in your story, you already know where it's headed. Where do keys get made? I don't know. Just happened a mere hour ago. Had an order for pickup at Home Depot and obviously was trying to spend as few minutes in public as possible with the virus going around. So I am wearing a mask, nitrile gloves, and a jacket with the logo of my employer on it. I very obviously do not work at Home Depot, no orange apron, etc. So I go to get my order. It's not up front, it's in the back still. The only customer service agent walks back to go get it for me. I'm standing there waiting on the customer side of the counter when a man approaches me and asks, "Where do keys get made in the store?" I shook my head and said, "Not sure, sorry." He walks back to his wife and mutters, "Worthless jerk, doesn't know anything." I hear this and snap. I said, "Buddy, I don't even work here." He quips back, "Freak you, jerk," which prompts me to explain to him that nothing about my current outfit or the position I am standing at the customer service even suggests that I am an employee of the store. Walks away and flips me off. Woman comes back, seeing I'm obviously ticked. I tell her some jerk came over looking for where keys get made. Nothing to do with the wait. Signed for my stuff, wished her a wonderful day, and rolled out. Dude and his wife were still meandering looking for the key cutter. With a temper like that, personally, I'm kinda glad they didn't get immediate help. But with that, that's all the stories we have for today, so what I want to know from you guys is which of these stories was your personal favorite to hear, and why? Let me know which one piqued your interest the most in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to turn the notification bell on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.